Okay, Jamie. Well, I just want to first thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to make this call, and I'm really excited to get insight into what you've achieved. So let's just start with a few questions. I want to first go back to where you was at mentally and physically before joining the program. So can you just elaborate, like, what was going on in your life, like what made you want to join the program in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the Kickstarters was me turning 50. When I turned 50, I realised, sort of looking back, I was quite a bit overweight, quite lethargic, and generally my lifestyle wasn't great. I got 10-year-old twins, so it's an active life, and I have a high demanding job. And I was finding myself, basically, I would drink too much at the weekends. My diet wasn't terrible, but it weren't great. And I was over 16 stone. I'm only 5'9", 5'10", so just nothing was right, and I could just feel. I felt constantly lethargic, and I was fully aware of it. And the kickstart was me turning 50, and it was one of those sort of midlife crisis things. Right, I just need to sort myself out.
Hmm. Makes a lot of sense. And I mean, you shared about it there, but like, how was that on a deeper level? Like, maybe you didn't share this with other people, or maybe you was sharing it with other people, but like, how was that affecting you on the inside? Like, was that affecting, like, did you wake up worrying about it? Like, what was going on in your head?
So one of the weird things was guilt. I felt, and I can't quite pinpoint why, but I felt guilty. I I have a great life with my wife and my kids, but I was waking up. Sometimes I'd wake up, certainly on a weekend, and I'd be a bit a bit hungover, and I just immediately feel guilty because I'm like, why have I done that? Why have I drunk too much last night for no particular reason? And then I just wasn't in the moment. I wasn't being present with the kids. They're 10-year-olds. They wanted to go out and
Mm.
do fun things with mummy and daddy, and I just didn't really feel up to it. Now, I was throwing myself at work as well, so it was like whatever spare energy I had was being targeted towards that and not towards my family life. So that was one thing. The other thing was, I suppose, disappointment. I was quite active when I was younger. I was quite sporty. I was quite I was quite a fit lad, and I kind of looked myself in the mirror, and there I am. I'm 16 stone 2 pounds. You could see it all around my waist. You can see it in my face. I mean, it had become a bit of a joke. My knees hurt when I walked upstairs, um, and I just thought I'm becoming a cliche here. And so I was just disappointed in myself because there was no reason for it. I haven't had any, I can't put this down to trauma or family tragedy or poor upbringing or anything like that. All the planets were aligned. It was just purely bad choices by me. You just slowly fall into this sort of rut. And a couple of times I had sort of tried to step out of it, but I'd ended up back in it for whatever reason, and I couldn't tell you why. I think probably because it was easy. It was easy to get home on a Friday night and have a bottle of wine. It was easy to go out and eat rubbish at a restaurant or have a takeaway. So yeah, that's where I was, and those are probably the two strongest overriding emotions were guilt and disappointment.
Mm. And how long had you been feeling like that? Like, how long had you been going through the motions like that?
Well, now that I look back, probably years. I say years and years. We're talking as long as the kids have been around, really. Um, so, but had you asked me this question while I was there, I I don't know. It might have been a little bit less. I might be thinking, oh, I've been feeling like this for a couple of years. But I look back now
Mm.
to where my head is now to where it was then, and I'd probably got myself into a rut slowly over the. I mean, what had effectively happened is when I first met my wife, and we met later in life. You kind of you live it up, and you go on holidays, and you have weekends away, and you, you do all those fun things, and then you kind of get stuck in this sort of cycle, and then the kids come along, and then you stop, you stop doing the things with your, you stop going for runs, you stop going for walks, you kind of concentrating on doing all the things with your young family and so on, and before you know it, you are where you are, and I suppose these feelings had probably sneaked up on me over time. It was a little by little, and it got to a point, I suppose, as I turned 50, I thought, do you know what? This ain't great. I need to do something here.
Hmm. And turning 50 was like that catalyst. You was like, now is the time that I need to.
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't know why. I've never had that thing before. I'm not. I'm not a particularly vain person. I'm not really. I'm not. I was never that. I thought I was never that bothered about how I looked or felt. I was happy. I'm happily married. As I said, the family life is great. I love my job. So it wasn't. As I said, it kind of sneaked up on me. And I didn't have this when I turned 40 or 30 or 45 or whatever the other landmark ages are. So I don't know why 50 was a thing. And I couldn't tell you why, but the turning 50 was definitely the catalyst. And I think it was just one of those, you kind of look at yourself in the mirror and you think, do you know what, I need to get a grip here. So yeah, absolutely. It was the catalyst, I suppose.
Yeah. And what changed, or what made you join the program? Like, what made you reach out to Lee as an example?
Well, I'd started before, in the new year, I'd actually sort of gave up alcohol or cut it significantly down, and that was going well, and I lost a bit of weight, and I'd been going to the gym for a good 18 months. I actually badly injured myself about 18 months, 18 months ago, where I ruptured my Achilles. And that was a particularly bad time because I literally didn't leave the sofa for 2.5, 3 months.
Wow.
So I've been going to the gym a bit to more for rehab, and I'd given up alcohol, and I kind of started to lose a little bit of weight, but I realised that I'd been in this pattern before, and I needed to break it. What if I've kept on doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result? At some point, I need to step away and think, this is madness. So it was accountability, I think, because I know that I react well to accountability, both at work and in my personal life. So it was accountability that I was looking for, and expertise, someone somewhere else just to say, you should look at this, you should try that. But someone to also then, fairly regularly sit face to face, and for that person to say, why don't you try this week? Why don't you do that? Why don't you commit yourself to this? And in the past, I've always reacted to that. So that was probably at the point where I thought, I need to just look into this and see what is out there, and if it's worth me exploring a bit more.
Amazing. So you'd been on quite a big journey initially yourself, this rehabilitation phase, getting back into the gym. You'd cut your alcohol out, but you knew that wasn't enough, or you kind of weren't getting the results that you wanted to achieve from that work. Is that fair to say?
Because that absolutely, because I've done it before. I cut out alcohol, cut down on alcohol before. I've been going to the gym fairly regularly for quite a while. But what's the point of going to the gym when to get fit and lose weight and then go home and have a McDonald's that night and then a fry up the next day? Or, it's not just as simple as that. And in the past, I might not drink any alcohol in January, like a lot of people don't, and then drink double the amount in February. So I needed to break this pattern. So I had a starting point. I had an anchor with which to work from. I was cutting down on my alcohol, and I was making an effort at the gym. But I needed to kind of join up the dots, but I needed someone to help me do that. I needed, as I said, I keep on saying it, but it was the accountability. I needed someone to look at the bigger picture, and it's not just about drinking less, eating better, exercising more. It's a bigger, wider package thing that I needed to look at, and that's what started this next part of my journey, was like finding the right person to help me through that.
Yeah. So then, this is where Lee comes into the picture, and the program comes into the picture. So you made made you? What went through your head? Like, what made you make the decision to invest in yourself like that? Like, was it a scary decision? Was it an easy decision?
Do you know what? It was an easy decision. To be honest, it was such an easy decision. You question yourself, why did I do this 2, 3, 5 years ago? It was that easy a decision. I suppose there's the unknown. Am I going to be choosing someone who is a bit of a charlatan, takes your money, you don't benefit from it? So I was more nervous of that than I was of the fact that I was committing myself to this. But I'd kind of, as I said, it was turning 50 and all the other planets aligning that got me to sort of say, I'm going to do it. And I need to find the right person. I need to feel comfortable with that in order to commit myself to that. But I knew that I was going to make that commitment. So
yeah,
that was an easy step for me. That was an easy step.
And to kind of like fill in some of the gaps right now, when did you join the program?
So I joined the program sort of late March. I made the decision to look for something. I'd actually contacted Lee before Christmas.
Right.
So I'd obviously had some thoughts about it even before that. But at the time I was just sort of seeing what was out there, and I hadn't come to the conclusion that that's something that I was going to do. I just thought, oh, that's interesting. There's people out there that do this sort of thing. But I joined the program in March, and it was, my birthday was in February. So it was after that point where I'm like, okay, I need to look into this more seriously. And because I'd already made initial contact, and Lee was very good at following up, there was no pressure or anything like that. He was just like, look, if you fancy a chat, give me a call. It might be 3 weeks later. Look, I'm just doing my rounds. Here's a little bit about the sort of thing I do. It's there for if you want it. Hope you're well. Very low key, and it just stuck there. And that's why in March I thought, do you know what? I've got to stop faffing around now. Let's get on with it. And that's where it happened and how it happened.
And when you came across like Empowered Man and the brand and the, I guess as you started to go into that ecosystem and watch the videos, did that give you the belief that, okay, this is someone that knows what he's talking about?
Yeah, but there's also a point of difference. There's a few out there. There's a lot of people that kind of target the 40, 50-year-old men, dads with dad bods who are busy at work and don't spend enough time with families. I think we're a ripe market, and there's a lot of people out there. There was a difference with Lee. It wasn't just about. There was an emphasis on the whole, and not just I can make you lose some weight or I can make you fitter. It was kind of his mindset, which is what I'm sure we'll talk about a bit more in a minute. But it was mindset, and that's what I was after. Because look, I was always into self-development. I've always read lots of self-development books and people that I've followed. You know, I love following the likes of David Goggins and people like that, and
Mm-hmm.
reading about them, and so I understood about the bigger picture, and it was Lee's program that kind of stood out from the others, and Lee's approach from my initial inquiry. You know, as I said, it was a low key sort of outreach approach to just sort of say, look, I'm still here if you're interested. No rush, but I'm here. So that, in tandem with the fact that he was looking at the whole picture, the mindset, not just I can make you a bit lighter or lift weights a bit better. It was everything, and I knew that's what I needed, because that's what I found in the past. You know, I stopped drinking for 2 or 3 months. I'd eaten healthy for 2 or 3 months. I'd worked harder at the gym for 2 or 3 months, but I never got past that. So I knew that it was something else in here that needed working on, and it seemed to be that Lee worked on that more. That was what got me going to Lee.
Powerful. Now I want to fast forward now and talk a little bit more about what you've achieved having gone through the program, like having worked through that system with Lee. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what have been some of your biggest wins that you're most proud of?
Yeah, so what I should say first and foremost, where I am today to where I was, let's say February, early March, is night and day. It's a complete and utter transformation. Things that have changed for me, it's hard to explain. It's hard to put it in words sometimes. I just feel so much more energetic, so much more on the balls of my feet. I don't feel like I'm dragging along. I feel that there's more energy in me. I feel more lively, and that's all changed because of a program which it doesn't throw stuff at you. It's a slow drip feeding of bits of skills, information, ideas that over time they just sink in, and they almost sort of sink into the bones in your body, and they become part of you. So the big wins, look, I'm probably about 14 stone 5 pounds now. I was 16 stone 2 pounds at Christmas. My aim is to get down to 14 stone. So I've lost a load of weight. It was never my most important thing, but I've lost a lot of weight. The way I eat is completely different. I'm not on a diet. I eat loads. I still go out and have meals. I'll still have a glass of wine occasionally if we go out for a meal. I still drink a little bit of alcohol, but it's just completely different. And Lee gave me the tools to understand how it's kind of almost how food works, to the point where now that is sustainable. I'm not on some sort of fad diet. I'm eating really well all the time and losing weight. It's kind of like, wow, this is amazing. This is what is the weird science behind this? One of the big things for me is I've discovered running, and I'm addicted to it, and it's such a better addiction than alcohol or burgers. It started off that I said to Lee, I said, you know what, when I was younger, I used to like running, and I've always tried it, and I do it for a few weeks and then I stop. So Lee sort of said, look, twice a week. So, well, no, he didn't even twice a week. He said, you know, at some point this week, he said, I know you're going to the gym still, and you do it a couple of times a week. Keep that up. He said, but if you get a chance, just go for a run. Just do it for half an hour. But he says, look, don't be big, don't be brave. Go slow. And when you need to walk. And when if you want to stop and take a breath, take a breather. but just do it. So I did it. The first time I did it, I ran 4K, walked a little bit, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I thought, oh yeah, I've missed that. So I did it again and again and again. I now run 2 or 3 times a week. I've bought loads of equipment. I'm running 5K in nearly 25 minutes. That's ridiculous. I couldn't have even dreamed of doing that. And every Saturday, in the morning, as long as I'm not away or anything like that, I'm running between 15 and 20K on a Saturday morning, which is utter madness. And when I've told friends that, they've just laughed at me as if like, what, you ain't doing that. So that was, for me, it's just like I found a hobby in all of this as well. And I love it. I mean, I can't... Friday night used to be get home, have a bottle, 2 bottles of wine, wake up Saturday a bit groggy, stay in bed until 11 o'clock. All I'm thinking about Friday night is I'm going to go for a run tomorrow. What's my route that I'm going to run? How far am I going to run? And I'm eating some food that's going to be the right food for me to eat before I go for a run. Then I'm up at 5:30 Saturday morning, prepping my run, doing a bit of a warm-up. Then 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm out in the countryside, running around. I don't care about the weather. It's never bothered me, rain or shine. And I get back an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and I'm just buzzing. And that's it for me for the rest of the day. And where's that come from? I don't know. I didn't go into this program. I didn't at that point say to Lee, I want to be running 20K every Saturday. It's just happened. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Amazing. What kind of comments have you had from maybe family members, friends? Like, what have people noticed in this transformation of you?
Again, everyone commented on the way that I look and, how much weight I lost. I joked about this with Lee. Blokes don't comment on other blokes losing weight. It's the kind of almost like a rule in life is like if a bloke puts on a weight, the next time a mate sees him, he'll remind him very quickly how much weight he's put on. But very rarely will you get one of your mates say, "Oh, you're looking well. You've lost a bit of weight." But blokes were actually doing that to me. One of them actually turned around to me. He looks at me like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I can't believe what's happened here." That was the only way you could sort of say it. So everyone is, everyone's commenting on it, and there's a confidence from that. It's funny because at the start, Lee said to me, "What's your body confidence like?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not bothered. I don't care what people think about me. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a vain person. I'm not that worried if people think I'm big or small. I just, But you know what? When everyone started commenting on it, I realised actually it did bother me. The clothes that I wore, the way I behaved, I was pretending that it didn't bother me, but it did. And now I love it. And I must stress, it's not just a few people. Everyone I've seen who haven't seen me since Christmas are just like, wow, you look amazing. You look fit. And I feel it as well. There has been, one of the downsides is a change in your wardrobe. There's a lot of things that don't fit me anymore. But it's been a really positive feedback from a lot of people. My family, friends, my wife, everyone. It's been great and I loved it.
Amazing. What would you say to someone else? I kind of bring a bit of context to this. I think there's a lot of men that are in your situation, right? Where I don't know if it's like a guy thing where people just accept it. It's just like, oh, it is what it is, right? Like they kind of make jokes of the belly, or it's like it's cost me a lot of money to make that, right? Like there's almost more banter around putting weight on and almost just accepting it. But like you said, as you started to lose the weight, feel more confident, you've actually started to realize like actually you feel how good it feels to be healthy, but also it's made you realize like, well, actually maybe I wasn't as confident as I was thinking. So from that perspective, what would you say to other guys out there who are maybe in the situation you was in? Like, what words of wisdom would you pass on to them right now that would maybe show them that that the Empowered Man Network is the right choice, like to reach out to Lee? What would you say to them?
So it's tough because when you're in the eye of the storm, you can't see the storm. When you're standing outside it looking in, you can see it. So if anyone gets to that point where they realise, oh, do you know what, I'm in this storm, I realise what's going on, and you realise that you need a change, is first and foremost what I went through over the 12 weeks with Lee was transformative. And it was everything. It wasn't just about body image and so on. It was just about that. My mind is in a better place. I feel like I'm in a slightly higher plane in terms of I just see things better, differently, more positively. So my advice is, without trying to sound too much like a Nike advert, is just do it. Go for it. Because what you get out of it is so powerful. And it's only when you look back, you just realise then, wow. I mean, the opportunities that have opened up since I've gone through this have been amazing, not just from my fitness and my running and so on, but even the way that I've behaved at work. So it is, if anyone ever realises that they're in this rut, and they kind of joke about and push it back and think, well, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm 50 now or I'm 40, I'm not going to change. Is if you are brave enough to sort of dip your toe into this, the things that will happen to you are unbelievable. And I'm playing it down. I can't stress this enough. They are so eye-opening. You will look back and think, why was I like that for so long? So just do it, because you have nothing to lose. The worst you have to lose is where you are when you started, but you won't be. Everything in my life has changed so much in the last 12 weeks. I just wish I could express it better with words of the effect that it's had on me and for the people around me. So be brave, go for it. You've got nothing to lose, and be prepared to have your eyes open, because when you come out the other end, you will look back and just think, wow, what a journey that was, and this is fabulous, because I've loved it, and I loved the journey. I mean, there are some uncomfortable truths that you have to face, but if you're willing to face up to them, you just come out the other end so much better.
Amazing, powerful. One final thing, you said that I'm intrigued to know, like, what has been the impact from going through this program in your career or at work? You said it's changed how you show up there.
Yeah, I had a job. I've got a job that I've always enjoyed. I've been doing it for 18 years, and last year got quite a big, an unexpected promotion that I was never chasing for, wasn't particularly fussed about, but was asked to take on this role, and I took it on, and it was the single toughest jump up into a role I've ever taken on in my life, and work was stressful. Now, it was a good stress. One of the things I've always felt, even before the program, was that I kind of dealt with stress pretty well and managed it pretty well. But again, it wasn't until I took on this program I realised, actually, do you know what? I can manage it better, and I can manage my time better. And what was happening was the job had become quite all-encompassing, to the point where I'd probably lost, not probably, I had lost my work-life balance. Because on the weekends I was feeling a bit groggy and, a bit tired, and because I'd drunk a bit much and I wasn't very active. I wasn't spending quality time with the family. And and I was putting the energy, the spare energy that I had, into work. So now I've found that I've got more tools to manage the stress associated with a job. And it's been noticed. People are saying things, I'm getting comments at work on how well I'm doing at work in a job that had taken me by surprise. But my work-life balance is better. I wouldn't say that I'm spending more time with the family, but the time I'm spending with the family is better. I'm more present, I'm more in the now, and that wasn't the case before. So I can now work as hard as I did before, and commit myself to work as much as I did before, but at the same time spend really good time with my wife and my 10-year-old twins and do more things with them. So I've got the best of both worlds. I didn't have to turn around to work and say I'm working less hours, or I can't do this because I need to spend more time with the family. I've got all of them, but I'm not waking up tired or stressed or worrying. It's all I've gained some extra tools in this 12-week program that have prepared me better, or I'm better suited to do the things that I need to do. So yeah, it's when you talk, for me the two are entwined, work and home, because I work from home, which is another thing. I don't work in an office, I work from home. I have found a way where I'm better at managing both in an efficient way and get the best out of both worlds. So I've had my cake, I'm getting my cake and I'm eating it.
Amazing. Sounds like it's just expanded or like up leveled your capacity to deal with the things that you know that were your responsibility.
Yeah, and again, one of the questions you asked at the start was, about how did you feel, and I mentioned about guilt, and I mentioned about disappointment. Another thing I was disappointed in is I always thought, I can do better. I can do better than this. I can be better at work. I can be a better husband. I can be a better dad. And that, I feel now, I am being better. I'm excelling at more stuff more regularly. And I'm not just talking about, when I say excelling, I'm not talking about personal bests in running or hitting targets at work. It's a bit more tangential than that. It's more, I just feel that all the things that I was disappointed in myself before, more the emotive side of things, I'm better at that. As I said, and probably a word I've used a lot with Lee is just, it's part of that is about being more present. I was always thinking either about what's going to happen or what has happened. I'm now a lot more in the present, and that makes a big difference in that sense. And I can't explain why, but it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I'm guessing before, because you wasn't looking after your health as much as you are now, like you obviously weren't reaping the benefits of being as healthy, like having more energy, being less stressed, or being able to manage stress more. Also sounds like you've found a passion. Like you're back into this place of loving running, pushing the boundaries, relishing in it. And it sounds like before, work was intense, and because of the intensity of the work, you was drinking more. You were managing with that stress through alcohol and food, and then that was ultimately holding you back from maybe being as present as you'd like to be at home. Maybe you was coming home or being at home at the end of the day and just like mentally drained. Just like, I just need to relax, switch off, give my brain a rest, have a beer, have a bottle of wine. Does that sound true? Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Everything. I'm not going to change much to what you just said then. 100% right. So much, if you try and put numbers to it, it's like I was running at 70%, and 65% of that was work. Now, if I'm running at 95% and 65% of it was work, I've got a lot more percents left for my family, or whatever the numbers are. You know what I mean? That's just breaking it down into some simple maths, but that's exactly how it is. And if anything, it was the other way around. Like you said, because it was stress, and I was coping. I didn't go to bed at night worrying about work. I didn't wake up on a Monday morning saying I hate my job. I've always loved my job. I feel very lucky and fortunate to have that. But I was kind of taking out the stresses from work on my home family life. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like I was arguing with my wife but I was short with the kids. I'd definitely be short, if they misbehaved. 10-year-olds will have a propensity to misbehave. If they misbehave, I would definitely more likely before just lose it with them, and then there'd be a weird, awkward atmosphere in the house for a couple of hours because Daddy was cross again. That hardly happened. It has happened, but it's very, very rare now. So it's obviously, that it was a spillover from the things that were going on at work. Yes, I was coping at work, but actually there was it was spilling over into my home life, and that's a lot less now. Well, I say a lot less. It doesn't happen now. I just find I have much better coping mechanisms for everything all round, all the time. And there's no one single thing that I've done. I can't say, it was, week 6, I did this with Lee, and that's what made it better, because it isn't like that. It's lots of little pieces to this puzzle, and it's the whole, it's the sum of the parts that make the difference. So by eating better, by drinking less, by doing more exercise, but by, I do a little bit of journaling, not every day, but quite often, by writing out the goals that I want to achieve for the week, the year, the next 10 years, by just doing lots of good, interesting, incremental habits. They've given to this whole, it's greater than the sum of its parts, and it's given me the ability to have great family life, have time to do, have my own passions running, feel healthy, feel great, look better, and still enjoy work and do well at work. So, yeah, it's looking back, it's kind of, wow. I wish, as I said, I wish I could find a way to kind of get that across to other men like me, in a simple way, but you kind of got to go through that journey yourself. But whatever it is that Lee's done, there was a magic wand there that's been brilliant. For me personally, it's been brilliant.
Amazing. And on this final note, mate, I just wanted to ask you if there's any final words or anything you'd like to say to Lee.
Yeah, Lee, thank you. Thanks for sticking with me when I first made the inquiry. Thanks for having me on the program, and thanks for changing everything. And you're not just changed, as I said, I've lost 1.5 stone or whatever it is, but it's not just losing the weight or taking up running or eating better or drinking less. It's everything. You've changed a lot for me, and I feel I've got the tools now to be like this genuinely for the rest of my life. This isn't just like, 2023 is going to be a good year. I've got the tools now to behave differently and hopefully behave like this, and carry on improving for the foreseeable future. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Amazing. Look, thank you for your time today, Jamie. Appreciate it massively. I'm sure this message is going to inspire a lot of men. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head in a lot of parts, and I think I hope it resonates with a lot of guys. I think a lot of guys just kind of like suffer in silence, right? Like, I think of my dad, as much as I try to persuade him and tell him stuff. Every man needs to arrive at a point himself to make a decision, right? Like, you just have to be the person who's going to take the step. and you've done that. So I commend you for it, Jamie. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Joshua. Thanks for your time.